He created a brand new standard for offensive linemen to come into this league and not just start, but dominate and be a Pro Bowl, all pro type level player. You can't overlook that. He deserves his spot in Canton. He's earned his spot in Canton. And as a guy that sat next to him for 9 years, he was a Hall of Famer when he got drafted, and he deserves to be a Hall of Famer right now. His play, his attitude, the way he carried himself, everything. He deserves that spot in Canton.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to a special show today because I have the bless to have maybe one of the best duo left side offensive linemen in the 90s. If I'm going too much excited, I will be maybe in the history, but I have to stay on planet Earth. That was those two great person always told me, relax and don't get too much excited. There is Keith Sims and Richmond Webb, partner in crime in Miami Dolphins. How are you guys?
We're doing great.
I'm doing good.
So it's special for me because I am not the Dan Marino, but my name is Dan Marino. So I feel comfortable with you two guys. I feel protected. Of course, I can speak an hour about your career, your credential, but here we are here to talk about the importance of the connection with the left tackle and the left guard, especially when you have a righty quarterback, which means maybe 90% of the quarterback in the history. So we're talking about the blind side, and I go straight with the first question, guys. When we talk about the left side of the offensive line, why is the chemistry between the left tackle and the left guard so critical, especially with the quarterback's blind side?
Well, I guess I'll start off. I think chemistry is important, regardless. But if you got a right-handed quarterback, you're trusting the left side of the offensive line to have your backside. So normally drop back. You're normally facing the other way so you can throw, and that's important because you can either get sacked, you can also strip sack, or you can really take a devastating blow that can either fumble the ball or cause a whole huge momentum swing for the defense for the other team. So communication in offensive line is more important than anything, and you've got to be on the same page. And that's one thing that me and Keith Sims had was from day one. It was amazing. It wasn't like a hard thing. Like it took us a long time to figure it out. We just rolled with it, and then we had a great offensive line coach, John Sandusky, that really helped, develop because, Keith ran the option in at Iowa State, and I ran the option at Texas A&M. We didn't throw the football much, and so then to come to a legend with not only Don Shula but Dan Marino, and then have to protect the blind side and be two rookies, it was almost unheard of to do something like that.
Yeah, it definitely was unheard of. I keep quoting the stat that we were the first to have two rookies start on the blind side, and I concur with Richmond on it. It was easy. I mean, from the moment we met at the combine, sitting in those stands, looking down on the field together, and looking at the other offensive linemen doing their drills, we just kind of hit it off. And he mentioned John Sandusky, phenomenal offensive line coach, and back then one of the things he did to us, which we didn't appreciate probably at the time, was preseason game was we never came out of preseason. We came out literally for 3 plays in the entire preseason, and we played a murderous row. And we're talking Philadelphia, the Minnesota Vikings, the Denver Broncos. We played a murderous row, but it got us ready. And he really taught us how to protect the blind side. And it's very important because defenses tend to blitz to that blind side, overload that blind side. And with Richmond's talent as a rookie and his ability to really stymie that number one pass rusher by himself most of the time, it allowed me to take the defensive tackle, and we were able to kind of slide our line the opposite way, the other three guys, to have a 3-on-2. And it gave us the maximum protection and allowed Dan to do what Dan does best, and that's throwing that rock. And with Clayton and Duper out there, we were really difficult to defend. So I think that instant chemistry between Richmond and I, the fact that we sat together in meetings side by side and in film and on the plane. Nothing was forced, which was the best thing about it. It was just Richmond's so laid back and so cool and so quiet, and I'm the one that had the big mouth and got the quotes out there and got us in trouble on certain things, but it just was easy. It was such a blessing to have a guy of Richmond's talent and caliber to be humble, and just the example he set. I mean, from his first 12-minute run, I can still see him on his back. That torturous run, but we had a great time. It really was, and the standard that he set really forced me to be a better player each and every day. And I when I can say it now, Richmond. I was jealous when you got your first Pro Bowl. I was like, I got to get there. I got to get there with it. And it took me a couple years, but I had a blast when we were together at the Pro Bowl. It was phenomenal to get to that standard.
Yeah, and most of the time it's true that we're talking a lot about Richmond Webb, legacy, but you have a special art in the Miami Dolphins community, kids. Don't worry. We know that it's a duo. I most of the time by the learning I'm doing on football. Football is a tango, is a one-on-one, but it's
Mhm.
also a one with one.
Yeah.
Sometimes. So you guys were partner, and I think that the success from one is because of the other in the two ways. So take a little credit also, Keith. Don't be too good. You were a
Yeah,
heck and a great player. Don't worry.
exactly.
Well, I
And I
appreciate that.
remember in '92, I guess it was '92 or '93, Bruce Smith even avoid most of the snaps. Richmond, he was going opposite or to you, so you have to face that big man too. So
Oh yeah, yeah.
and talking about the technical standpoint,
Mhm.
what are the key elements that makes the LT-LG, so left tackle, left guard partnership work at a high level?
Well, and I'll take this one. I think it depends on the blocking schemes and how you're going to do it. Early on, I mean, from our rookie year on, they were able to have enough faith in Richmond and I that number one, we can communicate on the offensive line. And most offensive lines have a lot of line calls. You might have a Bob or this or that or a fan or whatever that is. And Richmond and I got so comfortable together that literally from watching film together, we could see what the defense was going to do. And he would just say, "Hey, Keith," or I'd say, "Rich," and we would know what we wanted to do and how we wanted to adjust our blocking scheme. So I think that was a big plus, was that comfortability between us and that communication, because you have to be able to change your blocking schemes on offensive lines, particularly with 13 back there, because Rich will tell you there were so many times we had run calls. We get up to the line of scrimmage and he sees something he likes and he's checking to a pass. And we had to be in the correct stance. We had to change our line calls at the moment of a notice. And I think it's that kind of thing, that communication and that understanding of the fact that they can trust us to be able to handle guys one on one, allowed our offense to take it to another level.
Yeah, I agree. I think Keith, you definitely hit all the points. The communication is so important, but like you said, I think from day one, we had minimized what we say because we couldn't walk up there and say double team or scoop, or we wouldn't say words like that because defensive linemen are not dumb. They'll pick up on that and they'll be like, okay, they're gonna slant hard or whatever, try to disrupt the play, and then like Keith said, we have a run call, and then Dan sees something he like, we've got to adjust on the fly, and you got to be able to look at the front that's in front of you and say, okay, now we change to this or that. But I think it was just uh, two guys right beside each other, and Keith was so smart, intelligent, and it just made my job really, really easy because I knew I could trust that he was going to be where he was supposed to be, and that allowed me sometimes to maybe be a little aggressive on some things because I knew Keith had my inside just in case, I tried something. And so it was just, Keith is bragging on me, but, he was a hell of a player as well. And I think, even now, people talk about me, but they talk about Richmond Webb, Keith Sims. They talk about that tandem and can we draft another two guys and put them on the side like that in the snap? Because I remember once we got drafted and then they found out they put us on the left side, everybody was like, "You're crazy. You don't put two rookies on the left side of the line, especially with a guy like Dan Marino." So it definitely worked out, and we just bust our tails, and we had to put up with the stuff because when we were rookies, we took a lot of the reps, and then some of the veterans would leave us in for the scout team plays. Would come in and relieve us, but we made it through, and it made us better. But at times they was a little rough on us that didn't necessarily have to treat us like that, but we made it through. And then I think the other thing was that our rookie year for me was special because we went to the playoffs and we were one game. Buffalo was that nemesis. I tell people this all the time. They were just a little bit better than us. And I can remember going up there and we had a shootout and, we lost, but we didn't like Buffalo, but you had to respect them and the way they put things together. So it was always that stepping stone to say, we got to get a little bit better because we want to get over the hump. And I think that was things that motivated us as well.
And it's important to remember that you guys were rookie and week two, Buffalo defense. There is no time, no time to.
Yeah.
It's not like you have 10 weeks to. You go improving day in day out, week in week out. Week two, Miami, Buffalo Bills defense, and you guys did well, by the way. How do communication and trust on the field impact the success of the side of the line? You guys talk a little bit about that, but how it work and how you adjust during the game.
Yeah, it's vitally important, and I never had to worry about communication with Keith. And I can remember after he left, I played with guys. Of somebody got hurt and a guy came in. The first thing I would tell him, I say, "Look, we got to be on the same page." I said, "If we mess it up, we got to mess it up together." I said, don't worry about what happened on the sideline. I'll take the heat for it, but I need to be able to trust that you're going to do whatever we say we're going to do and do it together. And there were a couple times where, I got left hanging, not with Keith, but with guys. I just didn't know what to do. I said, bruh, just tell me what we're doing and we're going to do the same thing. So, when you have that, me and Keith played together for 8 years and you have that for that long, you get spoiled. And then, you have another guy come in and not that he's a bad player, but you got to really work to get that trust and that communication to where you don't have to think you can just go out and react. That was huge for me. And I think sometimes you can overlook it and think you don't really notice how valuable it was to the success you had. And it just took a while to develop it. Man, that was key for me. And it made, not that it made my job easier, but when you can trust that the person that's on your inside is got your back, you don't have to think. You just kind of go out and play.
And I totally agree with Richmond. And I can tell you a quick story of when I left Miami and was in Washington. I missed having Richmond next to me with that communication because it's so important. The offensive line works as a unit. The five guys really have to see the same thing, work the same thing, and as long as they're in unison, things usually work out in a positive manner or have an opportunity to work out in a positive manner. So I was blessed when I got to Washington. I had a veteran left tackle, Andy Heck, who was next to me, and we developed good communication pretty quickly, and that was great. And then he gets hurt. We're in a playoff game in the divisional round against Tampa on the road. Got Warren Sapp, that Derek Brooks, that incredible defense, and we're churning. We're going down for the game-winning drive, right? And my left tackle, who was next to me, was a fill-in. Love the kid, love the guy, he's a great guy, but we weren't used to communicating. It's third down and two. We're lining up. We're getting ready. We got to get a first down. We can kick a field goal, win. We're going to go to the NFC Championship game against the Rams. Uh, a blitz happens. I see the blitz is about to come because I see them lining up, but I had no time to make the call. So I
Right.
have to trust that my left tackle sees what I'm seeing. I know Warren Sapp, who's lining up on me by his footwork, is not going to run me. He's going to slant outside and they're blitzing inside linebacker. So I have to make a decision. Do I stay inside and get the linebacker, or do I go with Warren out of the play and let the linebacker make the tackle? I come down and get the linebacker, assuming my tackle is going to see exactly the same thing and react like Richmond would react. Unfortunately, it wasn't Richmond Webb. He didn't react. Warren Sapp makes the tackle. It's a no gain. We have to line up for a 43-yard field goal. It gets blocked. We lose the game and we don't go to the NFC Championship game. It's things like that, Pitt, that normal people will never understand. about the true communication. I would not have had to say a word to Richmond. He would have known and seen and know what I was going to do and react to that. But this fill-in left tackle couldn't communicate, couldn't do it on the fly, and those are the little things that we say in football. You never know when one play is going to change a game. And I, to this day, it eats me up inside. I can visually close my eyes and see me coming and getting Derek Brooks and seeing Warren loop out. And my tackle, instead of coming down, went out on the defensive end who was dropping. You could see it if you studied film, if we knew the same thing. And it's plays like that that Rich can probably tell you. We all have them in our careers. And when that kind of thing happens, it magnifies that need for good communication between the offensive line.
And this is a real example, by the way. Wow,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you didn't take the one who maybe make you pick the one who maybe make Washington a little bit
Well,
sad,
I
Washington
think that's the
fans,
way
but
you design the guy that's coming inside is a bigger threat because he can get to the ball quicker.
Yep.
So you normally just do that. But I thought Keith brought up a great point when you studied film and you can see how defensive linemen feet, how they're staggered and stuff like that. A lot of times you can tell it's going to be pretty hard for him to come inside. So he knew he was looping outside. That's just a key. And if the tackle comes down, he picks up Warren, and if it's a running play, it's probably gashed right
Yep.
at the first
We
down.
would have got that 2 yards easy. Trust
Yeah.
me, easy. Bugs me to this day, man, that I didn't make the interception here. Mhm.
here it's time for seasoning. I have I have to put some spicy. Can you share? Can you guys share an example? You share a memory for your time, but your time together show how coordination between you two made the difference in a game. Do you have an example or a moment that you guys change? How you make a play different that it was designed? I'm not sure it's
I can't
the right
remember
way
a
to ask
game.
it.
I can't remember a game, but what a lot of people don't know, and Keith takes a lot of the grunt because he's more boisterous, but he was my voice piece, so I could always say, "Hey Keith, we need to do this," and Keith would, and I can remember we were in a game. I can't remember. I want to say maybe the Colts. I can't remember who it was, but
Mhm.
anyway, we were having success running the football, and they kept going away from it. And I remember Keith went over there, not to our offensive load, but to Coach Shula and say, run the football." And I was like, man, and we actually ran the football. We won the game. But I think, everybody was so used to us throwing the football because Dan was such a prolific thrower, this and that. But
Mhm.
it really wears the defense down if you can get that running game going, and it takes time off clock. And when you win the time of possession and stuff like that, it's just more. But it gives us a chance to kind of tee off on them sometime because, like Keith said, the stunts we saw normally other offensive linemen wouldn't see them because Dan wasn't real mobile. He threw the ball and got it out quick, which is true. But I'm telling you, when we played against Belichick, I mean, it was some stuff you would see and you'd be like, hey man, I might as well take a chance, even if I don't get there. I got to try it because it's so confusing and this and that. But I remember those, and those were good times that I could always say, "Hey Keith, man, we need to run the football or something." And he's like, "Yeah," and he was like, he would just take it from there, and everybody would blame him, but they didn't know. And he never called me out and say, "Well, Richmond told me," said, he never did that. He just took it on the chin and all that. So I could always appreciate that. But yeah, he was the mouthpiece, and I was the sneaky one that kind of whispered in the ear and said, "Hey, man, we need to do this."
That that is so true. And I got called up to Shula's office at the game he's talking about. I got called up into Shula's office after that, and Shula's like, "So you want to be the offensive coordinator now?" I could remember Higgy used to always say, "Oh, you're the OC. You're the OC now," calling plays on the sideline. But it was fun. I didn't mind taking the heat. I didn't mind whatsoever because I agree with Richmond. I mean, we as offensive linemen, you want to lean on those guys. And like Richmond said, Dan was one of the best all time, if not the best quarterback all time. Certainly, the best quarterback I ever had the pleasure of protecting and playing with. And he caused problems for a lot of defenses trying to defend his arm. But he also caused issues for us offensive line because he was a statue in there. I mean, he did a good job sliding left and right and stepping up sometimes, but there was unsound blitzes that were thrown up because they weren't afraid of Dan Marino running the football when he got out of the pocket. They were afraid of him, his arm. So there's probably a ton of stories like that, but it was truly fun. And Richmond had a lot to say in my ear, and like I said, I'm fine about it. And I was never shy with the media, so it never really hurt me. I didn't have a problem with it because that's how I truly felt.
But you always did it respectful. You know what
Oh
I'm saying?
yeah,
You
yeah.
didn't, yeah. You would voice your opinion, but it was always respectful. And I think people could respect it because what you were saying was actually correct. It wasn't you was
Mhm.
just ranting or having a tamper, uh,
Yeah,
spazzing out. It was basically facts what you were saying. So I think that's why they could respect it.
yeah. It was still
Eh,
pretty
say,
loud in Shula's office when I went up there. I can tell you that much.
it might be not a good one to be on his desk. I can imagine. But hey, last question. For fans and even younger players, how would you explain the real value of a strong left side in shaping the outcome of a football team?
I'll take this one. And it's hard to just say a strong left side. I think it's got to be a strong offensive line. Dolphin
I
fans, we're all Dolphin fans, and we have been all very frustrated, probably over the last decade plus, with the lack of consistency and continuity on the offensive line. We'll get some great players like Teron Armstead, and you'll see an uptick, and then we just haven't had that great consistency. So for teams in the NFL in particular to be as good as they want to be. You look at the teams that win Super. Philadelphia Eagles had an outstanding offensive line across the board last year. You see with Kansas City, some of the greatest skill players ever known to man. And when that offensive line wasn't what it should be a couple years ago in the Super Bowl, even last year in the Super Bowl against Philadelphia, you saw how those four defensive linemen completely shut down Pat Mahomes and Travis Kelsey and change the game and take it over. So I think it's where the left side gets a lot of attention on a right-handed quarterback, and rightfully so. It's got to be a cohesive unit. If you can get a good unit that plays together so well, understands the system and communicate, you can have a really successful football team. I'll take Philadelphia, for example. Last year, they plugged in Mekhi Becton for the Jets cast off, a top 10 pick who just couldn't do anything in New York, got plugged in the right system, was able to work together with the center and the tackle and put together a unbelievable season, and he got a huge free agent contract and moved forward. So as much as I want to say it's the left side, it's the five guys, the five big uglies up front that really have to work together and really have to be on that same page and communicate. Because if you can get five guys working as one, they're going to be a top unit in the NFL.
Yeah, I think you said it. We as an offensive line, we look at working as one. We don't look at left side, right side. We look as we're five guys up front, and the points that you're bringing up about the left side now, it applies to the right side in Miami because Tua is a left-handed quarterback. So Austin Jackson and Jonas Salvanea is the right side. So now they have the same responsibility that we had, and um, the key thing, like Keith said, is you get a offensive line like Philadelphia, or even like I even like watching the Detroit Lions.
Mm.
Big physical front, move the football. It allows you to not only run the football, but you can throw the football, and it keeps the defense off guard. And they know, hey, we're gonna have to play 60 minutes. It's gonna be a tough physical battle, and this and that. But if everything is not right up front across the board, and you have deficiencies or issues, it's going to show up and it's going to affect the whole offense. So regardless of how many skilled players you have or electric, playmakers or whatever, if you can't block them up front, you're not going to have much success.
Hey guys, thank you very much. And it's my turn to say something to the audience. You for, I mean, youngers, but even every person. If you have a dream, let nobody tell you that you can't. This is a great example. I have been working a year and a half to have those two great person here on the show and talking about the importance of what they do on the field. Sometimes patience, it's a virtue. Not sometimes, every time. You have to be patient. And this is a great example that it sounds to be easy to do a show with Keith and Richmond, but they have agendas, and it's not as easy as we can expect. And 1 year and a half working on that, and it's great. So thank you guys to be there today, to take your time. I mean, Richmond, take some rest, man, and be better for next week because you have a show. But and also, Keith, thanks very much. I mean, uh, you guys wrote a big book on the history of the Miami Dolphins as a great tandem, as you guys said during the show. And it's great from now that we can hear from you guys the experience, and also for younger generation that probably don't see you guys played, but can heard some story of how do you guys protect Dan Marino's blind side, and now you protecting my blind side. Do you guys have a final word for the audience, America, but also Europe and rest of the world?
I guess the thing I would say is we definitely appreciate you. Like Keith said, if you're a Dolphin fan in this last 10 years or a little more, it's been really tough. And so when you have people stick by you through the bad times versus when everything is going really, really well, I think you got to appreciate them more, because it's easy to just jump on the bandwagon of another team, this and that. But when you have those true diehard fans that are patient, and like you said, 10 years, 12 years, it's a long time. But you keep waking up and you keep saying, no, I'm dedicated to this football team and this and that. And, we experience it now, even though we're not playing, we're more like fans now. So when they don't do well, we're not happy because
Hmm.
we want to see them. That was the franchise we play for. So just appreciate you. And I think the thing I'm amazed with doing the show with you, Dan, is the different, he's been interviewing different people from Germany, France, this and that, but how American football is really spreading internationally and this and that, and how people are gravitating to it, because soccer is international, is more
Football.
huge, but people are really gravitating to American football. And to meet some of these people and see their passion and stuff like that has been truly amazing. So I just want to say thank you.
You're
I
welcome. But
agree
it's
with
football,
Richmond.
by the way. Sorry, Kiss.
Yeah,
It's football. It's not soccer. Because actually,
that's true.
soccer, it's a play that you played with your foot. So it's
You
football.
can, you
Yes,
can tell I'm an American.
it is.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
a
a
little
football
sensitive.
fan.
It's a little sensitive here. Sorry, Kiss.
I, I quickly want to just thank all the fans in the United States and around the world who are Dolphin fans, because, like Richmond said, it hasn't been the best of times, but you guys have stuck by this team, this organization, and suffered along with us, former alumni. We all want the same thing. We all want to see our team hoist that Lombardi Trophy one day and celebrate the Miami Dolphins and what they do and the great players in history. I'm just thankful that I'm a small part of it, and I think the next celebration I want to be at is not necessarily the Super Bowl. I want to be in Canton when this man finally gets his gold jacket. Something he's earned on the field and has deserved for many, many years. So let's do whatever we got to do to make it happen. And I'm in your corner, Rich. And I will be there celebrating with you, and happy as the happiest man in the world when you get in there, because you deserve. You earned your spot and you deserve your spot. So let's make it happen.
I
Hey,
appreciate it.
Kiss, please, when that happen, put me on with your phone that I can see live the
Sure.
speech.
I'll be near that stage cheering them
Hey,
on.
thank you, everybody. Post positive comments to those two legends, and all have a great day and enjoy football first, and after cry for your team, but enjoy football first. Bye, everybody.